Welcome everyone to the finale of Balena Canto's Variety Hour. I'm so happy you can make it. We're going to get started right away with one of my favorites, Mama Morton's song from Kander and Ebb's Chicago.
Ladies and gentlemen, the keeper of the keys, the countess of the clink, the mistress of Murderers Row, matron Mama Morton.
Ask any of the chickies in my pen. They'll tell you I'm the biggest mother hen. I love them all and all of them love me, because the system works, the system called reciprocity. Got a little motto, always sees me through. When you're good to mama, mama's good to you. There's a lot of favors I'm prepared to do. You do one for mama, she'll do one for you. Say that life is tit for tat, and that's the way I live. So I deserve a lot of tat for what I got to give. Don't you know that this hand washes that one too? When you're good to mama, mama's good to you. Want my gravy, pepper my right wing, spice it up for mama, she'll get hot for you. There's folks that cast that basket, folks that contribute to, put in for mama, she'll put out for you. The folks atop the ladder are the ones the world adores. So boost me up my ladder, kid, and I'll boost you up yours. Let's all stroke together like the great sick crew. When you're stroking mama, mama's stroking you. So what's the one conclusion I can bring this number to? When you're good to mama, mama's good to you.
This next selection is from 20th century English composer Benjamin Britten's probably most famous opera, Peter Grimes. And this aria is sung by Ellen, who is Peter Grimes' friend and love interest. She believes Peter to be innocent of foul play against his young apprentices, but when one of their embroidered sweaters washes on shore, and it is Ellen's embroidery that she recognizes, she can no longer deny that Peter probably is the one who had something to do with their disappearance. Here is the embroidery aria.
Was a
clue whose meaning we avoid. My hand remembered its old skin. These stitches tell a curious tale. I remember I was rolling on the fantasies of children, and dreamt that only by wishing I could bring some sleep into their lives. My broidery affords the clue. No, my broidery affords. No, my broidery affords the clue whose meaning we avoid.
And now it is my great honor and privilege to welcome to our digital stage our extremely special guest, Roxanne Rohls, for a stunning performance. Enjoy.
I find you with red tears in your eyes. I ask you, what is your name? You offer no reply. Should I call a doctor? For I fear you might be dead. But I just lay down beside you and held your hand. I fell in love with you. Now you're my one only. Cause all my life I've been so blue, but in that moment you fulfilled me. Now I tell all my friends I fell in love with a dead boy. Now I tell my family I wish you could have met him. Now write letters to Australia. Now throw a bottle out to sea. I whisper the secret in the ground. No one's gonna take you away. Oh, such a beautiful boy. Oh, such a beautiful boy. I asked him, are you a boy or a girl? Are you a boy or are you a girl? Are you a boy or are you a girl? Now you a boy. Are you a girl? Are you a boy? Or are you a girl? Are you a boy? Or are you a girl?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the interview part of our episode. I am so thrilled and excited to welcome our extremely special guest for this final episode of the season. The legendary Roxanne Rohls is here with us this evening. Thank you so much for being here, Roxanne.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me. And don't say legendary. It makes me sound old.
Whatever, age is just a number. And I mean, there can be young legends. You can do a lot in a short amount of time. So, but I get it. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I'm just lounging in my sequin bunker here in from the world in drag in the middle of the day.
Yes, as we do, right? Well, I'm so happy that you could be here with us. I've gotten to know Roxanne more over the digital scene over quarantine, and I'm so happy that I have you here to kind of talk and get to know you more. So I would love to kind of start and delve into some questions and get a conversation rolling, if that's cool with you.
Absolutely.
Amazing. So could you tell us a little bit about your artistic musical background and kind of what ultimately led you to doing drag?
Sure. Well, my original background started in sort of queer theory and performance art. And I was doing a lot of sort of, like we all do in college, I was doing a lot of self-exploration around gender and sexuality and all of that stuff. And I had a very short-lived sort of voice and piano act. And I would it wasn't really drag, like I would just kind of be like in makeup and like, an androgynous thing and, cover pop songs and try to put them in a queer context. And if anyone's listening to this and you don't like the word queer, I'm so sorry, but I like it, and that's what I'm going to say.
I love it. I fully embrace queer. I'm all for stealing it and using it. That's me. Yeah.
I know it's kind of a touchy subject, but it's the word that I like, and I don't need to offend anyone when I say it.
Totally.
But I sort of came to drag through this idea of like never having felt beautiful, which is kind of like a deep thing to like start this off with. But I was like, how far can I push my idea of beauty? Like, could I create a character that is considered beautiful, but then has these sort of reprehensible qualities? And I would say I definitely have been doing drag for over 10 years, and I've definitely sort of strayed away from that end of it. But I kind of, the short answer is that I came to drag through sort of performance art and just sort of my personal gender exploration.
Wonderful. That's amazing. I feel like a lot of, younger queer individuals definitely sort of have that awakening. It's funny, like in college for me, I studied opera, which is a very, it's very, you're very much stuck in gender norms. It's very heteronormative. So I think for me, when I went into drag, it was a little later in life. It was after college, because like I went on that straight kind of opera path where I was trying to pursue that career where you're stuck. You know, I was a baritone, so I'm singing these heteronormative roles. I'm a gay man. I was living, you know, that life, but it wasn't until later that I'm like, oh wait, no, I kind of am pretty gender fluid, non-binary. I don't really identify with that. Let's do this other thing. So yeah, no, I totally understand that. I think for me it kind of came later, but yeah, that's amazing.
And
That's amazing that you found that earlier on.
well, I think a lot of people come to drag after trying to fit into um, a more like cis het kind of um,
Totally.
theater kind of thing. A lot of people come from theater, or they come from dance, or they come from some kind of vocal performance, or they
Hmm.
come from acting, and they're like, I was this like, like straight passing, kind of gay boy, and I got put into all these roles, and then they later in life they shed that, and they want to do something
Hmm.
more uh, authentic, that where they can control, where it's not just them playing a character that someone else created, or
Yeah.
being shoved into a role that maybe is not doesn't let them express the full range of what it is they want to do.
Hmm.
And I've never been really a traditional theater person. I mean, I love theater, but I was never like a theater actor or like a
Right.
musical singer or anything, um, because I knew always that that was not for me. I was like, I can't get on a stage and do um, someone else's work. It was not, which is funny because as drag queens, we lip sync a lot. We lip sync other people's work, but you kind of get to be your own artistic
Yeah,
director.
you make it your own
And I,
interpretation.
I wasn't gonna like go on stage and do like Scarlet Pimpernel or like or what, you know what I mean? Like I never saw that for me.
No, totally. I love that, and that's totally something that I adore doing while in drag. Like I one of the things I do is create parodies, and I will like even parody parodies if that makes sense. Like I'll take comedic songs in theater and make them, you know, I'll even turn them on their heads themselves. And like for my next fuck off, I'm doing I Hate Men um from Kiss Me Kate, which is already a comedic song, and I'm making it I Hate Cis Men. So it's like even adding these other more and more layers. um,
I'm wearing gloves, but those were snaps for that.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, no, but I totally identify with that, and I'm so I love that you came to that realization. You know, so much earlier in life, and like didn't waste time on being yourself. That is so wonderful to hear because that doesn't happen a lot.
I will say that even within drag though, especially, I mean, like I said, I've been doing this for over 10 years.
Right.
Um, Especially at the time when I sort of was like growing up in drag or whatever, there were definitely sort of some rigid expectations of what drag was and was not. So like there was still
Were you
like
being compared to like drag race standards and stuff like that?
standards and and pageantry, and
Right,
also
right,
my sort of original drag mothers were female impersonators. They were
right.
like, you should look like a woman to if you want to do drag. And
That's frustrating.
and at the time I was like really into that because that's what I knew, and I was like, okay, let's do this. And like
Hmm.
as I've like progressed in my drag journey, there's been that trip towards more authenticity because I identify as non-binary out of drag. I don't feel like I'm a man. I don't feel like I'm a woman. So
Hmm.
why would I leave sort of the man box just to put myself in the woman box?
Right, right.
But that also was a journey. So like there is that inherent sort of more authentic side of drag performing, but I think people still can get trapped into other people's idea of what their drag should be. And that was definitely me for a long time.
Right, right. Totally. I totally understand that. I've heard that from a lot of people.
I
I
mean,
totally hear
no
that.
matter what you're doing, you're going to get put into, people are going to, in their head, put you in some kind of box. And you just have to know that I have found that you just have to know that that's not your responsibility.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
you don't have to cater to the box that they put you in
Hmm.
just to please it, because someone's always going to find something to criticize or to not like or whatever. Like
Hmm.
when I was getting praise for doing very feminine drag on one side, on the other side I was getting a lot of criticism for not like wearing enough makeup, not being draggy enough. So it's like you can't. You're going to get it from all sides, no matter what you do. So you might as well just do what it is you want to do.
Exactly.
What is that?
Exactly. And always, I try to, I try to live by the, I don't know, motto or whatever. Do what makes you happy because life's too short. So let's talk about what are some of your biggest influences when it comes to drag, whether it be, different artists, musicians, or aesthetics, time periods, anything. What are some of your influences?
Okay, I'm a huge fan of like the 1920s and like the flapper era. Chicago cabaret, like those kind of musicals were huge for me when I was growing up. And yet people were still surprised when I came out. Um, just things like that. And one of my all-time biggest idols is Marlene Dietrich.
Yes,
Whenever I'm like thinking about like glamour or what I think of as beauty, she's always what I come back to. And also that she was bisexual and a cross-dresser, and she was like
oh,
an
I didn't know that.
anti-fascist and all of that stuff. And I think she was just like, for me, she's like the top. And then like of course like Judy Garland is a big one for me. Um,
God
I
bless.
so often I'll put on Judy Garland at Carnegie Hall when I'm getting in drag. And then as far as like personality and work ethic would be like Liza Minnelli. I think she's been reduced to this like camp figure, this like tragic sort of like clown. But I honestly feel like she's been one of the longest and hardest working entertainers that we have. And she,
Totally.
as much as she's beloved by her fans, I don't think she gets enough credit in the mainstream for how hard she actually works and how hard the show that she puts on is to do. Um, and then there are like drag performers like Coco Peru and people like that who are just like have so much personality and are just so funny. And I've always I'm not a great dancer. I'm not a great singer. I've always sort of fancied myself as like an aspiring comedian. I like to be funny. I like to make people laugh. So there's people like Coco Peru and like Barla Jean Merman
Yes, I
who are
love it.
just, it's just you listen to them, it's just a joke a minute. Everything's a joke. You find something to laugh about. There's this amazing Australian. I get he kind of gets lumped into drag, but he's not really like. His name is Ruben K, and he's. Are you aware of Ruben K?
No, no.
He's so phenomenal. He's like if Bette Midler was actually a gay man instead of just pretending to be one.
Wow.
He's just a powerhouse vocalist, an amazing storyteller and joke writer. He's so fantastic. And I've never gotten to see him in person because he's in Australia and then quarantine happened. So I've seen him do some
Right.
virtual things. But he's been a huge influence on me, especially when I've been revisiting and developing my own sort of live cabaret act, which may or may not be coming to a venue near you in the not so distant future.
Oh,
But
that's exciting to hear.
yeah, but it's just more about I love saying, and people like Elaine Stritch, where it's more about telling the story of the song rather than singing it in this like technically perfect way. I
Yes.
love that. And
Yes.
probably the reason that I started drag was a performer named Justin Bond, um, who had an act called Kiki and Herb, where Justin played this old alcoholic, awful showgirl named Kiki, and she had a piano player named Herb, and they did this like 2 hour long show at Carnegie Hall in like 2005, and there's a recording of it, and it changed my life
Oh
because
my gosh.
it's like if Judy Garland was in a punk band almost. It's like just this raw, crazy, psychotic, alcohol fueled, like crazy, like cynical, but also sort of relatable and uplifting kind of act. And it like Justin, I had a chance to meet Justin Bond a few years ago in New Hope, and I was able to tell them like, you are the reason that I wanted to do drag, and like thank you.
Oh,
And that was like a great thing for me. And if you're like a baby queen, like watching this or listening to this, go look up all these people I'm talking about because no one knows what the fuck I'm talking about ever when I talk about this stuff.
I
So
need to
look up,
look I need to look some of these
yeah,
people up. I'm so
look up
excited
Justin
to.
Bond, look up Marlena Dietrich, look up Ruben K. Like these are the people that are my idols. and that also has led me to the struggle of like authentically expressing myself in drag because I have a very different point of reference than everyone
Mhm.
else. Like Ariana Grande and Lady Gaga are like not my idols. I don't know what the latest like memes are, like Beyonce or what Beyonce is doing or whatever. Like I'm it,
I
and
can relate.
I love seeing other performers do that stuff, but it's just not what I'm personally interested in. So like sometimes I'll be like doing a performance and I'll see these like newly 21-year-old like little gay kids and they're just like, I don't know what this is.
I know, I can totally relate. And there is, there's a place for all of that. That is all, it's all valid. Believe me, I fully believe that it's all valid and it's art and it's beautiful. But yeah, no, I personally, I'm with you on that. Like, I very much identify more with that cabaret theater, like the other side of things. The older, the old school stuff, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. And I think, yeah, it is more forgotten. And I think it probably is because it's not in your face, like in the media. It's not on TV. It's not in film. It's not. I mean, some of it a little bit on Drag Race, but they never explain anything. It's like, for RuPaul and for RuPaul's amusement. But we get it.
Well, and you think about like Drag Race, even like the people who host and run Drag Race, these
Hmm.
references are even dated for them because their
Right.
references are like Lee Bowery, Club Kids, Boy George,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
things like
Yeah.
the 80s, 90s queer stuff, George Michael, Elton John,
Right.
kind of, Madonna, all of that stuff. So it's like and people call that old school drag now. So there's even like that other layer of like a few decades of like references that are considered old, and then we're going back even further than that
I
to
know.
like the 30s, 40s, the 20s, or whatever, to like all that jazz, and people are just like, I don't know what this is.
I
But
know.
a lot of times I feel like I would rather do something that a crowd doesn't know because then if they hear it later, they'll think about me.
Hmm.
They'll be like, oh, I saw that drag queen do this thing or whatever,
Yeah, and honestly, if you do something unknown, if you connect with it and you feel it, and that comes through on stage, you'll connect with the audience and they'll feel it too, and they'll love it. Um, so
And
whether
and if
whether
they
they know
don't,
it or not.
and if they don't, you can always bring it back to a dick joke. I've always found
Saving grace, the dick
because
joke.
usually I'm hosting, so if they don't like the number that I just did, I usually just tell some really crass joke when I'm done, and then I get the room back.
Oh God, love you. Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, that's funny. I think I first heard about Marlene Dietrich. So I love, one of my great influences is Carol Burnett. So there was a clip from the Carol Burnett show of her and Lucille Ball singing "Boys in the Back Room," which is a
Yeah.
Marlene Dietrich song. So like that's how I found her. So it was like one old reference to the other.
Wait, that's exactly what I was talking about. One, that's already a dated reference, and then there are
Yeah,
references from so much further back in history.
I know. I love that song. That's such a fun song.
Yeah.
Um, and I love like things about like death and dying and funerals, and like that song's like perfect for that. But that's another topic.
I don't remember who said it. It might have been Charles Bukowski, the poet, but some writer said, "If you're not talking about death, you're skirting the real issue."
It's true. It's
I,
true.
and my sense of humor is generally very dark. I love that kind of because especially now we live in such an absurd time. You know,
Seriously.
with a pandemic and a reality TV show host president who thankfully is not
Mhm.
president now,
Thank
but
you.
not to
Thank
get too
you.
political, but I am part of this world. Um, and I think finding that humor is so important. I mean, people like try to kind of back away from it, I feel.
Hmm.
But if you tackle these things head on, you can make them small by laughing at them. And I
Yeah,
think
you
that's
need
kind of,
to.
as drag performers, as entertainers, I feel like that's kind of our role. Like Joan
Hmm.
Rivers is one of my biggest idols as far as comedians. And she was always just like either everything is funny or nothing is funny. And now, obviously, with more social sensitivities that we have and more awareness about different issues, there's a little more nuance to that.
Hmm.
But I think if you can make a joke out of something, you have a little more control over it in this world where any awful thing can happen at any moment and we have no control.
Right. Right.
I think that's what live performing that's what's so appealing about it, is that anything can happen. There's this, even if you're hosting a show, you're running a show, there's a loss of control.
Hmm.
And you just kind of can put that out there and let go of it, and it all becomes sort of just this circus where nothing is serious because we all might die right now. You don't know if a
Exactly.
gas main is going to blow up or whatever. Some crazy person's going to come in with a gun. I mean, that's the world we live in, and I think cabaret and live performance is about that energy. For me, I
Mm.
think it's just, we could all die, so let's just have a good time. Let's just drink too much and laugh too loud and do the damn thing because
Yeah, that's like that Peggy Lee song. The hell's it called? I forget what it is. Uh, if that's all there is.
oh, is that all there
Oh,
is?
there is. Yeah, is that all there is? Yeah, that's what you just said. That's like that song to a T. I need to.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm old enough to sing that song and really give it justice, but eventually.
do an old lady character.
What?
Do an old lady character for
I
a
know. I
night.
have. I mean, I've done many an old lady character before. I do play Aunt Mary Pat's mother, so maybe I could do it as
Oh,
her.
really?
I do, yeah. Charlene Delizio.
That's fantastic. I love Troy. I love Aunt Mary Pat.
Me too. Me too. Hysterical. Wonderful comedian. Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh boy, what else do I have here? Oh, one thing I wanted to ask you about. Tell me about your blacked out contacts, because that's like one of the first things that I ever notice about you, because you're always very glamorous, very like old school Hollywood, this cabaret vaudeville influence. And then we have like these demon eyes, which I love because it's so unexpected. But I'm just curious, like where that came from, and what it means to you.
Well, okay, so a few years ago, I was out, I had my little show heels on, and I maybe, I had a thimbled Christmas in me, if you know what I mean, and it was a little icy out, and I fell,
Mhm.
and these passersby, thankfully, they brought me to a hospital,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I was looking at myself in the mirror, and I don't know if you've ever had a concussion. When you have a concussion, your pupils dilate enormously.
Right.
And I was looking at myself in the mirror, and there was a little bit of blood, and I had these big black eyes, and I said to myself, "Baby, you have never looked more beautiful."
Wow.
And then, unfortunately, a few hours later, the swelling in my brain went down, and my eyes went back to normal, and I was discharged from the hospital. They say there were no lasting effects, but who can really say? And years later, I was like, how do I recapture that? And there's a performer in Philly, I'm sure you know, the Moon Baby.
Yes. Yes.
And I saw her, and I was like, well, I know she's not doing this with a concussion. There must be some way that there must be some contact lenses out there. So credit to the Moon Baby for me finding blackout contact lenses.
Wow.
Um, I love sort of I love the idea of the uncanny, of something that looks just slightly off from being human. And I like this idea of maybe this is not a showgirl. Maybe this is like a ghost of a showgirl from the past who's like
Yes.
on the stage. And it's interesting because I get a lot of mixed reactions to it, because I tend to be kind of lighthearted and funny, but then I
Hmm.
have kind of this strange face. And I love that. I always encourage people to embrace the confusion. The blacked out eyes are definitely a choice. Um, and it's something that I have definitely sort of, because I just really recently started doing it all the
Hmm.
time. And I I sort of sometimes I'm like, oh, is it appropriate for this event? Where like I got booked to do a brunch, and I was like, oh, do I walk into this brunch with like blacked out eyes? And then I was like, yeah, they booked me. They know what I look like. Like, let's,
Hmm.
whatever. Like, they're coming to a drag show, what they're gonna walk out because I look weird. Um, and it's just something for me when I look in the mirror that I feel completes my look, and I feel is very beautiful.
I adore that. I really do. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh, thank you. People said someone told me that I look like talk about dated references, that I look like the spider lady from James and the Giant Peach.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. That's so
Usually,
perfect.
usually I do like a white eyeliner under it and everything.
Uh-huh.
It looks kind of like buggy. But
Yes.
I
Oh my
love
god.
that too. That's fine. It's like,
Oh,
is it a ghost? Is it a robot? Is it an alien? We don't know. And honestly, I'm not sure either.
that's the beauty of it. It could be anything and everything all at the same time. That's perfect. Yeah, so you spoke to me a little bit before about returning to singing over quarantine, and you just spilled the tea a little bit about maybe a future uh, one person solo cabaret act, which is so exciting. So yeah, tell me about getting into singing again and how that's been, and if you want, your quarantine experience, because we're kind of coming out of that, thank God, or goddess or god X or nothing or whatever you believe in or don't believe in at all.
Beauty of your choice.
Yes,
Spin a wheel. Uh,
yes,
first thing I will say is that it's not going to be a one-person show. If it happened, I do have a musical director and an accompanist who's been my friend since college and was part of my
wonderful.
original piano and voice act. And he is a classically trained. He's also an opera singer, a classically
Yeah.
trained musician. Um, and it's getting back. So I started to get back to singing shortly before quarantine. I don't know if you know that show. I think it's Kids in the Hall. It's like a sketch comedy show.
Okay, I don't think I've
So
heard of this.
there was one where they had it's a guy in drag that he's playing Shirley Bassey, and they're asking Shirley Bassey about all of these different singers, and she
Hmm.
goes, "No, doesn't have the range." So and it's kind of become like this meme, but that's where it's from. So they'll be like Mariah Carey, no, sorry, darling, she doesn't have the range. And so when I am getting in drag, I'm always blasting music. And one time I was blasting music and I was singing along like full voice, real loud. And my housemate texts me from the other room. It just says she doesn't have the range. And I was like,
Read,
so
damn.
we have that kind of relationship, like it's fine. But I was like, do I really not though? And then and so I started taking voice lessons with a vocal coach. Just sort of a part of it also was trying to find my voice as a queer person, as a person who is not fully comfortable. I mean, obviously you can hear I have a very deep voice,
Right.
um, and it's something that in drag, when I used to do more feminine drag or like more traditionally feminine drag, the voice would always give me away. And I was like, I could never be a live singer because it breaks the illusion. But I was like, let me find my voice as a queer person, as a gender nonconforming person who has this voice, and let me make this voice work for me and what I want to do.
Hmm.
I started working with a vocal coach and taking voice lessons. Then, bam, pandemic, right? So I was doing that for a few months, and then the pandemic hit hard. And obviously, I couldn't sit in a room and sing with someone, and spray my droplets, my potentially COVID infected droplets all over a practice room. So that unfortunately had to end. But I had been in touch with my good friend from college, and I said, "Hey, I've been taking these voice lessons. Would you be interested in working on some kind of project that we could release digitally?" And thankfully, he said yes. And we were both, we were quarantining. We were very responsible. And we were doing things over the internet at first. He would send me instrumental tracks, and I would work on them, and I would send him vocals and whatever. Um, and then we started to work with a producer who was like, let's put this out there. Everyone's at home. No one can go see a live show. Let's put this out there as like a podcast and say it's like a live recording. And I
Hmm.
haven't fully closed the door on that project, but I do feel like the time has passed. Um,
Gotcha.
and I've gotten into it an area where I want to bring it to a live audience. So how that process started was that this a good friend of mine, his name is Ian. He's in Philly. He's a fantastic musician, fantastic singer. Um, he would come pick me up. We would be masked in quarantine. It would just be the two of us. Neither of us were seeing anyone, outside of our bubble. And I would bring, a bottle of champagne or a bottle of whiskey or something, and we would just sit and we would drink and we would talk to each other and write down jokes. And then I would say, this joke could lead into this song. I would pick out, and then we would work on the song, and sometimes it would work, and sometimes it wouldn't, whatever. And we have hours of material recorded just for kind of our own reference of original jokes, original arrangements of songs, and it's an area that I'm not super comfortable with. of live singing.
Right.
But they always say, life begins at the end of your comfort zone or whatever they say. And I'm just like, I've been talking to some people and there's some interest in potentially hosting the project. And it's sort of couched in this, it's me, right? Like it's something I'd be doing out of drag, but it's also still sort of a character. We kind of slated it in this idea of like, here is this person who thinks they're this musical genius who's really overreaching their talent level, because that's something that I'm comfortable with. That way I'm in on the joke. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Me. Like I don't want people to think, oh, this is 100% sincere, because it's not. Um,
I love
and
that angle.
and the joke is that he's a fantastic musician, but I never let him do anything other than play these sort of dumbed down arrangements. Um,
That's cute.
and it was sort of has become my way to channel all of sort of the negative, sort of cynical things that I think that I don't want to express because it's not useful. Like I think a lot about like, it's going to sound a little woo woo, but I think a lot about putting energy out into the universe.
Totally.
And they, in the past, have been a very sort of judgmental, negative person. And I definitely have been, especially through quarantine, having a lot of time to, I mean, it sounds so cliche, but having a lot of time to have introspection and time with myself.
Yeah.
To kind of shed a lot of that. And I'm like, I don't want to have that person be part of my life, but I want to use that energy to create something to show that it's okay to feel these feelings, but you don't need to let that be who you are. It could be a moment on a stage, but don't let that be who you are in your life, kind
Yeah.
of thing. So it comes from this very sort of snarky, judgmental place, but it also reflects the judgment back on myself. And I think
Right.
that's what's important. It's like, these are the parts of me that are really rotten. And I'm inviting you all to laugh at that with me, but also interrogate those parts of yourself that maybe you see in this.
I love
But
that so much. I
I mean,
do.
we'll see how well that can fully translate into, like an hour of material or whatever. But
You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. You've already put in so much work.
yeah. And it's also the presentation of it is going to be very inherently queer.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to create sort of a space to see someone like myself, to see sort of an act that I would have wanted to see when I was 19,
Yes. Yes.
where it just like you don't know what it is. It's just like, because out of drag, I'm bald. I shave my head, and again, that's just because of my day-to-day life. I wanted to look more like an alien. I wanted to look less gendered, and I was like, let me just shave my head. And that has carried over into this act, is that I'm just like this bald person with a face full of makeup, like screaming these songs, and like it's deliberately meant to be shocking in a delightful way, not in like an offensive way,
Right.
in like a way of like, oh, I didn't know there were people like this, in a like finding your tribe kind of way.
Right.
I feel like being the most extreme version of yourself in public is something that, as we get older, is something that's really valuable for younger people to see. And we got there from a question about how I started singing again.
No, no, I love this. I love this. I'm glad it went there. Um, and yeah, no, same. I wish I had all that when I was young too. I think it's so imperative that the younger generation see this and see you know successful adult queer non-gender conforming individuals being themselves fully out there. Yes, exactly. So they aren't afraid to be themselves, and hopefully skip some of the trauma that we had to undergo in our youth.
Oh, right. And I mean, it's sad, but I mean, I feel like there's definitely I mean, I feel like we got set back a lot recently, but I feel like there is sort of, it's within reach, like within my lifetime, that queer kids, gender nonconforming kids, trans kids, whatever, I think within my lifetime will maybe be able to have an easier process of growing into who they are, because it will exist in people's minds already. The word, I didn't hear the word non-binary until I was like 20.
Oh yeah, same.
Um,
At least.
and I was like, which is, I mean, it's great. Like I had a lot of time to explore myself still. But when I was younger, I was like, well, am I? It was like, are you a man or are you a woman? And I was like, I felt stuck because I was like, well, I do not this whole like man side of everything. Like I do not want that. But also I didn't feel like I was like I don't feel like I need to change my body that drastically and live as a woman, which is a totally valid journey.
Mhm.
But it was not my journey, and that caused a lot of confusion. And if I can, in some small way, create a little more representation for people who are in that in between area, um, and I don't set out necessarily to be an activist or to represent a community or to save anyone. I just want to live authentically and hope that that creates some kind of buffer for other people who might be like me.
Totally. Totally. You know, it's part of why we're artists. I think what part of why we're called to do what we do.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, if a trained opera singer can put on a blue wig and turn out a show, you know, and you know sing songs by female leads from musicals, then the sky's the limit, right?
God, I hope so. Oh, yes, yes, exactly, exactly. What's your most memorable or proudest drag career moment and why?
That's wow. What that's kind of I should have known that there was gonna be a question like that. I
Sorry.
no, it's fine. It's just I always have trouble sort of like ranking things in like a hierarchical way.
No, it's okay.
Um,
It's just something
Everything.
that was special to you. It doesn't have to be the,
Well,
whatever pops into your head.
in 2019, I won the Everything show in Crimson Moon in Delaware. So I Miss Everything Delaware 2019. Um,
Yes.
I've been doing drag for 10 years and had never done a competition before. And I walked into that, didn't win a single challenge, and then won the whole show.
Oh,
Um,
damn. That's
and
awesome.
that was I was proud of a lot of what I brought to that. Like there was a cosplay week, and I dressed as Chewbacca. Um, there was a Dead Celebrity Week, and I did Elvis, and had a heart
Oh,
attack, and died on stage. Um, and there was a lot that I did that I was really proud of. In the finale, we had to do a production number, and I did Roxy from Chicago.
hmm
With I worked with two dancers. I choreographed a number and
Yes.
did a costume reveal and everything, and we had props and there was glitter and it was like a whole. And I was really proud of that. Um, I had
That's
a
a wonderful accomplishment.
custom gown made for the finale by Ophelia Hotass. If you need costumes or wigs, she is the one in the Philly area. She's my sister, and
Yes.
she made me this fantastic gown that was a tuxedo on top and a gown on the bottom, and I was able to come out and represent sort of that gender fuck
I love it.
idea in a sort of pageant, evening gown setting, and that
Mhm.
meant a lot to me. So that experience, I was really proud of a lot of what I did and pushed myself to do during that.
That's
Um,
wonderful.
and I, to this day, have not done another competition. It is not for me. People are like, oh,
Competitions are hard.
people are like, oh, but you won. You should do more competitions. I'm just not a competitive person.
They're anxiety inducing. They really are. Anxiety, lots of money, a lot of time.
Expensive,
Yeah,
expensive to do a competition. I mean, I it was like $1,000 grand prize to win, and I think I maybe broke even.
right.
It's like you're
Right.
not doing it for the money, but but I was able to pay off my health insurance that I back owed, so that was great.
Snap, snaps.
But
Oh, America. Ugh.
but
Yeah.
you know, I mean, that's the other thing with the blacked out eyes is that I wanted to. I'm very candid about being a medication dependent, mentally ill person, and I wanted a way to communicate to people visually without speaking to them that I'm mentally ill. And the first time that I wore the contacts out at a show, the way people got out of my way when I was walking around, I was like, it is working. They know. They can see the crazy.
That's so perfect. I love it.
And
Get, get,
that's something else I really try to rep for is like mentally ill people because
it's beautiful.
I think especially in the world of entertainment, it's all supposed to be like, oh, here's whatever put out that character or that front or whatever. But I will straight up say like, I have been suicidally depressed and I'm medication dependent, and like there have been times when people have rushed home because they couldn't get me on the phone and they thought I killed myself, and it's like experiences like that have to inform who you are as an artist, right?
Totally.
And it's definitely something that doesn't get talked about enough. So being able to like go into a competition as like this person with depression and anxiety, and then be able to stand up there and take critiques and deal with the crowded dressing room and do costume changes and do all this stuff and put together a production number with rehearsals, and it's like I did that and you can do that. Like
That's amazing.
you can be you can get it together and be an entertainer, and you can produce shows and you can do great things, and you can do things artistically, and you can do things that you're proud of. And that your mental illness gives you a unique perspective. It's not like a hindrance. You can make it to an asset.
Exactly. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's incredible. I have a question about aspirations for the future, where we kind of touched on that. Are there any specific like songs or artists that you're dying to interpret? Because you are, a master, lip syncer. We know that. So I was just curious if there's any sort of, song or artist that you haven't done yet that you're like kind of dying to get your hands on.
I would love to do Kate Bush.
I just discovered Kate Bush.
Oh,
I'm very late.
Welcome to the Kate Bush fandom.
Yes, I'm really obsessed now, and I'm mad that I didn't look into her sooner. But oh my gosh, just incredible.
Yeah, I discovered Kate Bush because my mom was a really big fan when I was younger, and she played Kate Bush for me when I was young, and I was like, oh, I don't get this. This is weird. But then I like came back to it as an adult, and I was just like, this is wonderful. And I used a song by her in a performance a few years ago, and the reaction was interesting. So I would like to, now that I'm sort of more confident in what I'm putting out there, I feel like I would like to revisit some of her work and see what I can find in her work to bring out. And also another one is Tom Waits. I love sometimes lip syncing songs by men.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to do one of Tom Waits, like really, I don't know if you're familiar with Tom Waits at all.
No, I'm not.
So he's he started off as sort of a more traditional kind of crooner, like sort of beatnik jazz kind of guy. And then he absolutely destroyed his voice with alcohol and smoking.
Gotcha.
And then got back to singing with just this horrifically damaged voice. But it's so interesting in his musical arrangements. It's kind of like, people call it avant-garde blues or like Greek folk. It's like percussion heavy and atonal and very just strange. And there's a lot of sort of that, like, there's also a lot of sort of Condor and Ebb influence in there too. He's very sort of theatrical and strange, and he's a storyteller, and his songs are just, they're all about like heroin and like murder and like prostitution, just these like desolate sort of scenarios. And I love his. I'll go weeks at a time and listen to nothing but Tom Waits.
Wow.
And he's fantastic. And I would love to find a Tom Waits song that I could wrangle an audience into accepting.
Just go for it. Seriously. If it's special to you, they'll connect with it. They'll be able to feel it.
And I've also actually always wanted to lip sync Marlene Dietrich in German.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I don't know German. I know, like, I've sung some things in German, like just learning it sort of phonetically. But I would love to like lip sync her singing in her original language.
That's so cool.
For some reason that would be, I feel like that would be special for me.
Oh my gosh, that would be so cool. I would love to see that.
And as a Jew, like honoring a performer who was so aggressively anti-fascist.
Yes.
For the Allies during the war and everything, and that's part of what I love about her so much.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so amazing. Wow. If you ever need, well, I like kind of know how to pronounce German stuff because we like learn how to pronounce all the singing languages. So if you ever need help with that,
you need German, you need Italian.
Yeah. If you ever need help more than happy. More than happy to go
Fabulous.
over that with you.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yes.
That's a real jaw cracker.
Yeah. So many consonants. So many consonants. A lot of like and
I mean, I feel like I have a little bit of an advantage because I grew up in a house where Yiddish was spoken.
yeah, well,
It's very heavily German,
yes.
but sometimes I'll like I'll like be reading like a lyric sheet and I'll see something in German and I'm just like, I can't even begin. I'm just like, how do you say that word?
I know, I know. It's a lot. It can be a lot if you've never done it before. Totally. Totally.
One of the songs that I've worked on for my live singing act is Mein Herr from Cabaret. And there's that whole like German chorus right at the end. And I just remember sitting there just singing it over and over and over again, just so I could just get it in my brain.
hmm hmm
Like, I couldn't look at it on the page and try to read it because I
Right.
was like distracting myself with what the word looked like rather than the sound I was trying to make, if that makes sense.
Right. Right. Yes. No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah, one of the things they teach us is like the phonetic alphabet. So that's like one of the ways that we cheat is learning how to read the
Yeah.
phonetics. So it's like you can kind of get by without knowing all the rules.
It's smart though.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
it's good. It's good in a pinch, for
I
sure.
think people don't realize how much of being a performer is workarounds, finding something that you can't really do and figuring out how to do it.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Don't give away all of our secrets, but yeah. Oh my gosh.
Every gay boy is already a drag queen, so what's left to give away?
It's true. It's so true. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so, so, so much for being with us today. This has been an amazing discussion. I really think that the audience will get so much out of this, seriously. And thank you for being so open and for spilling your heart out today. It's been I feel so blessed that you know felt so open to share all of this. Seriously, it's amazing.
I really appreciate the opportunity to, talk honestly about. Well, it sounds so pretentious, but to talk honestly about my journey, as
I
an
mean,
artist.
that's what it is. That's why we're here. No, it's true. It's true.
And
Um,
I think it's great that you created this platform for people to tell their stories and share.
oh, thank you. It's my pleasure. I'm more so happy I could do it. Please, 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 please tip our guest Roxanne Rohls. Their Venmo is right. I never get this. It's like the opposite, right there. Oh my gosh. Wow. Wow. I cannot. Yeah, there at Roxy R. They are doing this of their own volition. They are donating their time. So please, please tip them the house down, as we say, and give them all of the love. And follow them. Please tell us all of your social media, and I'll have them. I'll have it in the chat as well, written down. But if you want to tell us verbally as well.
Sure. Instagram is Roxanne Rohls, just all one word, RoxanneRohls, German spelling. Roxanne Rohls. Facebook is the same. You can, if you want to like my fan page instead of adding me, it's Miss Roxanne Rohls. I mean, if you want to book me, RoxanneRohls@yahoo.com. Reach out. If you've got some money to throw to a drag queen, I'll show up at your house and do some shit.
And yeah, do you have anything you'd like to promote? Anything coming up? You have your regular karaoke.
Every Tuesday is Off the Rail Karaoke at the Split Rail Tavern in Westchester, Pennsylvania. It's from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. No cover, drink specials. Please do not come if you're underage. Don't try to get your underage friends in. It's in the suburbs. We get liquor control board people in there, and I will get in a lot of trouble.
Don't do it.
The 15th was our first night back post quarantine.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It was a packed house. It was amazing. So it's every Tuesday night, Split Rail Tavern. And then starting in September, the competition that I talked about earlier is starting again. And that's going to be the first Friday of every month. And I will be there as a judge. So you can come see me. You can come see me actually get paid to be judgmental instead of just sitting in the corner and doing it for free.
Yes. Work.
But yes, that's what I have going on.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you again so much for being here, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.
Mwah. Bye.
Bye. Thank you again so much to our special guest, Roxanne Rohls, for joining us. And please remember to tip them on Venmo at RoxyR and to follow them on all their social media platforms, which are listed on this post. I've had such a blast bringing you 5 full episodes of content over this quarantine, and while it is ending as we are starting to emerge into real life again, I'm so thankful for this time that we've had. I would like to close with one of my favorite songs, made famous by the one and only, the iconic Whitney Houston. It's called Greatest Love, and it's a song of hope, and I think it's pretty poignant to end this little series. I hope you enjoy. Thank you again for all the love and support over these last months. Take care. Love to all of you. Please continue to follow my journey. You can find me on Facebook at Balena Canto and on Instagram at Mateo Sings. I hope to see you in the future. All my love.
I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. Everybody's searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. I never found anyone who fulfilled my needs. A lonely place to be. And so I learned to depend on me. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadows. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity. Because the greatest love of all is happening to me. I found the greatest love of all inside of me. The greatest love of all is easy to achieve. Learning to love yourself, it is the greatest love of all. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadows. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away I found the greatest love of all inside of me. The greatest love of all is easy to achieve. Learning to love yourself, it is the greatest love of all. And if by chance that special place that you've been dreaming of leads you to a lonely place, find your strength in